Symbolic interactionism is a sociological theory that focuses on small-scale, everyday social interactions between individuals. It is contrasted to other major sociological theories such as structural functionalism that tend to focus on large-scale social structures. Instead of looking at the big-picture issues, symbolic interactionists are concerned with how individuals interact in everyday interactions and how people make meaning of the world through these everyday situations. This is a confusing concept at first, so let's dig down further by looking at 5 key ideas within symbolic interactionism. 1. Symbols. The first key idea is that people communicate and make sense of their world through the use of symbols. These can be gestures, words, or objects that carry specific meaning. For example, a wedding ring symbolizes marriage, while a handshake can signify agreement or greeting. Symbols allow people to interpret and navigate social situations. 2. Meaning is created through interaction. The meaning of symbols doesn't exist on its own. It is created and modified through social interactions. Individuals negotiate and interpret these meanings based on their experiences and the social context. For example, the same gesture or phrase can have different meanings depending on who is involved and the culture in which it occurs. For example, a handshake may have no meaning to someone in a faraway land, but for us, it is often used as a polite way to say hello. 3. People act based on meaning. One of the key assumptions of symbolic interactionism is that people act toward things based on the meanings they have for them. For example, someone might avoid a particular neighborhood because they perceive it as dangerous. This action is based on the meaning they've attached to that place through social interaction rather than any inherent truth about the neighborhood itself. 4. The role of the self. Symbolic interactionism places a strong emphasis on how individuals develop their self-concept through interaction with others. The self is not seen as a fixed or intrinsic entity, but something that is shaped by how we believe others perceive us. This is sometimes referred to as the looking glass self, where individuals see themselves through the eyes of others. 5. Social reality is fluid. According to symbolic interactionism, social reality is not static. It is constantly being shaped and reshaped through interactions. Norms, roles, and meanings can change depending on the context and the people involved. This fluidity means that social life is always evolving, and people are actively participating in its construction every day. Okay, now let's take a look at a typical situation that a symbolic interactionist might study, and what they can glean by looking at it from the interactionist perspective. The example we'll use is a classroom environment. Imagine a researcher looks at how the students and teachers interact in the classroom. The researcher may see that the teacher acts as the authority figure, and students respond to this. Before long, a shared understanding that the teacher is the boss will emerge. However, the researcher may walk into another classroom where the teacher and students have developed a more casual relationship. In this classroom, the formal authority of the teacher might be weaker. The researcher can use the interactionist perspective to show how social roles, like teacher and student, are not fixed. Rather, they are negotiated through daily interactions and can change depending on the social context. Before we finish up, we need to look at the strengths and criticisms of this perspective. Firstly, one of the key strengths of the interactionist perspective is that people are not seen as passive recipients of societal rules, but as active participants in creating their social world. We have the power to change and adapt our societies by renegotiating shared meanings. Secondly, the interactionist perspective helps explain how seemingly fixed aspects of society, like the role of the teacher, the concept of money, or even the concept of gender, are socially constructed through interactions. These meanings can change over time and across different social contexts, showing that social reality is flexible and dynamic. Of course, this perspective is not without criticism. The first main criticism is that it focuses too much on small-scale interactions and ignores the larger social structures that influence behavior. For example, while the perspective can explain how social roles emerge and change of time, it doesn't address the broader systems of power and inequality that shape social roles at a societal level. Structural factors like poverty, racism, and patriarchy are often overlooked. To learn about other concepts in sociology, check out these videos. To read more about symbolic interactionism, I've left a link to my article on this topic in the pinned comment.